Okay, my name is not important right now. I would like to give a couple of shout outs to Naim Kosher Pizza in Brooklyn, New York, Dave's Pizza in Lawrence, Traditions in Lawrence, and also Florida, Mittman's Home Security Systems, and I hope you enjoy the video. Okay, today I am speaking with the one and only David Pullman.
Thank you so much for having me.
Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Staten Island, New York. It's a really nice place in a small community called Willowbrook.
Okay, where did you go for elementary school?
For elementary school, I went to a school in Staten Island called RJJ. Also a really nice school.
Are they still around?
They are, but they moved to a new building. So I miss the old building, but they have a new place now.
Yeah. Where did you go for high school?
For high school, I was part of a van, and the van would drive me every morning at 6 o'clock in the morning to Teaneck because I went to high school in Teaneck. I went to a school called TABC, Torah Academy of Bergen County.
Wow.
It's pretty far.
It, it was a long drive.
Yeah, it could be about an hour. Depends on the traffic. Sometimes we would bring pillows and sleep in the back of the van and try and catch up on
Yeah.
some sleep.
When you wake up, you dive in, you go to sleep in the van.
Yeah, basically. Well, we would go wake up, sleep in the van, get to school for davening, and then
Hmm.
have our start our day.
Okay. Where did you go for base medrash or did you go to college?
I did both. I actually first went to Beis Medrash in Israel. I went for 2 years to yeshiva called Mivaseret, and after I went to Mivaseret for 2 years, I went to a Lander College, which is part of Touro University, the Lander
Hmm.
College for Men in Kew Gardens Hill. I was there for 2 years as well, and I got a degree in psychology.
Oh,
Yeah, now I'm in a master's program for social work.
oh. What what do you do? What do you do after college?
So good question. Um, After college, I decided I wanted to, besides for singing, which I've been doing since I was young, I decided I wanted to go for a career in social work as well. So now I'm in a for social work program through Yeshiva University's program called Wurzweiler. And after college, also I got married and I moved to Passaic. So I live
Yeah.
in Passaic, New Jersey now. So between going to school for social work and singing a lot more after college at weddings and concerts all across the world, that's what I do now. Baruch Hashem.
At what age did you start singing?
It's a good question. I started singing with my father. My father what used to be a more of an active singer. He doesn't sing so much anymore, but I used to join him for Shabbos. If he was the chazan, I would stand next to him, and I was doing that from when I was 4 or 5 years old. But I really started to sing professionally when I was 8 years old. That's when I joined the Miami Boys Choir. I was a member there for 5 years, and I just kept singing ever since then. I never stopped throughout high school and college, and now I put out my own music after I finished the choir, and then I do my own shows. So
Yeah.
professionally, the answer to your question, professionally, I started when I was 8 years old. And
Uh,
now I'm 23. So it's been a couple of years.
yeah. How many albums do you have out now?
Good question, Yehuda. Um, I have two albums that are under my name. One from when I was much younger called Miracles, and one from more recently, it was about already now close to 4 years ago, called Shira Shebalev. And since then, I've been putting out a lot of singles, a lot of, songs by themselves, or I'd be part of other albums. So the besides not counting the two albums that I put out under my own name, I've
Yeah.
been part of other albums and other projects. I'd say probably maybe six other albums or seven other albums that I've been a part of.
Yeah.
And I probably have about 20 singles out besides for the albums.
Hmm.
Yes.
What is your favorite song of all your albums?
It's a good question. Um, it's a really good question. I have to think about that one. I think that my favorite song from all my albums is a song called Hamalach. It was from my album that I put out 4 years ago, called Shira Shebalev. The song Hamalach that I sang was written by my uncle who passed away. So the song I recorded it in his memory, and it was very special for our family, and it's been a favorite of ours, myself included.
What do you do when you're not singing?
So, like I mentioned earlier, when I'm not singing, I'm in school for social work.
Oh,
Um, Amit Hashem, I'm going to be working in a school this coming fall as a social work intern. Um, I learned Daf Yomi, which I find very interesting. I've been doing it since the beginning of this cycle. I try to learn with friends. I have a chavrusa with my father, and I try to exercise. I go running. I do calisthenics. It's good to stay fit. So that's what I do when I'm not thinking. I like to, stay active.
at what age did you start performing live?
It's probably about 9 years old, a few months after I joined the choir. My first concert I ever did as a professional singer was an Uncle Moishi concert, and I got to sing before Uncle Moishi went on stage. And I'll never forget because I grew up loving, loving, loving Uncle Moishi's music. So to finally be in a concert with him was a big deal. And obviously, I've done other shows, and but I've been on stage for quite a few years. It's very, very exciting. I feel like I could connect with the audience. Good stuff.
Yeah. Who did you get inspired by to start singing?
My father, I watched him sing professionally. My uncle, who passed away, he was a singer. He was part of Miami Boys Choir. Um, and I was always enjoying listening to Avram Fried growing up. I've always loved his songs, his voice, his personality. And Baruch Levine, I really enjoyed and was inspired to perform the same way Baruch Levine performs, where he has this heartzig energy with the crowd, and especially that he's a Rebbe and a singer. I always love the idea of doing two things, not just being a singer, but also doing something else when I'm not
Uh,
singing, especially if anything to inspire others. So it was a collection of things. Um,
yeah,
being part of Miami Voice Choir inspired me to continue performing, and I've had many role models, Baruch Hashem, over the years.
Are you coming out with a new song or album?
Definitely coming out with some new songs. I'm writing so many new songs. A new album is a good question. A lot of people these days, um, they like when singers put out music often. And when that means putting out songs often, very hard to put out an album because when you put out an album, people are expecting you to put something else out right after. So it almost doesn't make sense to put all that energy into making an album, which is 10 songs, which instead of putting out all at once, you can stretch it out. You know, you can release one song out of those 10 songs every 2 months and keep people, interested. I remember when I put out my second album, everybody said 2 months later, okay, so now when's the next music coming out? And I said, I was working on that album for 3 years. It's very hard to just jump up again and make another few songs. So my whole view of albums changed. I used to think that they were really professional looking and I still think they're great. I just don't think that people have the attention span to appreciate an album anymore. I think the clientele has changed. The audience likes singles. So you can
What
expect to
single?
see
You
singles.
have a album and there song after song. If there is a single, you have to go to the next single by on you need to find your next song. If there is a album, the next song goes after it goes for you.
That's true. So that's a pro to having an album because then you just have another song right after.
Yeah,
The problem is that most people don't listen to a whole album. They pick their favorite songs from the album, and some of the songs get skipped. Really good songs too. They don't get as appreciated by the general audience, in
yeah.
the same way that if a single would. So letting each song shine and be special and have its own, attention for it is why it's also very beneficial to put out singles. It's another reason.
You
But I
came
hear
out
what you're saying.
you came out with great songs. Um the camp video, Camp Has, you came out with great videos.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Yehuda. Thank you. Yeah. Go
Um
ahead.
do you have any funny stories that happened to you by a show or a wedding?
There was a time that I remember the first time I ever forgot the lyrics for a song during a concert. And terrifying. I was maybe 10 years old. I was singing with Miami Boys Choir, and I forgot the words to the song. So I just started humming the tune, and learning from that mistake, you realize that the show must go on. You just got to
Yeah,
keep going. Um, yeah, there were times where I ran on stage and maybe I had my suit inside out. It's happened before, but
yeah,
usually not. Funny stories. I almost missed a show once, but I made it through. Um, I was doing a concert and the power went out, and so we had to do the rest of the show without any sound. But you have to laugh at these things. That's how live concerts work.
yeah. You have to laugh. If you don't laugh, you're not having a good time.
Right,
You have to laugh at mistakes to move on.
for sure.
Do you have any inspiring words or inspiration for the world?
Well, if Hashem gave you a talent, you should always use it. That's what I was taught when I was young. That's what I tell anybody out there. And if you don't know what your talent is, you just haven't found it yet. But everybody has something unique that they to the world. And if Hashem gave you that ability, you have a responsibility to use it to make the world a more God-fearing place. You should to inspire others to serve their Creator, to serve Hashem, and to be their best selves. Because when you inspire others, and by let's say you're good at something and you can use it to help other people, you yourself will be inspired in the process. And I think that you're going to end up serving Hashem better because of it. So that's my
Yeah.
word. Yeah, that's really my motivation is you got a talent, use it. It's good for others, and maybe even more importantly, it's better for your own personal growth and connection to Hashem.
Thank you for letting me interview you today, and let's speak after, okay?
Of course. Thank you for having me, Yehuda. It's a pleasure.